Well, hello everyone. If you don't know, I am Kenzie. I am a full-time voice actress. I have voiced in countless MLP projects and some video games. Some projects you might have heard me in are Magpie Ponies Discord Tales 2. I played Sunset Shimmer in that. And I also voiced in a video game called Yandere Simulator. And I also provided the voice of Mercury for Legends of Equestria, which is a fairly popular game if you're in the fandom. Um, so yeah, I've been doing voice acting personally for about 3-4 years now, and I gotta say I love it, mostly just because I like yelling and talking. So like, what, you can't go wrong with that. Um, so this panel for the most part will just be about like how I got my start in the voice acting and how to establish yourself in voice acting. Okay, so the main thing that you got to know how to do when it comes to voice acting is knowing how to sell yourself and talk about yourself. You need to know what kind of voice type you have. You need to know how to convey that to potential clients. And you just need to make sure that you are always clear and concise with how you word things, because nobody really wants to read a 2-page long essay about you. Um, but you still need to have a good chunk, like a paragraph. Um, when it comes to voice acting, probably one of the more important parts is the equipment that you use. For instance, I use a AT2020 microphone, a Scarlett Studio audio interface, and then I edit with Isotope RX8, which combined together adds some clean and crisp audio quality. If you can, you always want to start out with a mic that is ideally an XLR mic, which means that it runs through an audio box into your computer. That way, with plug-in direct mics, they tend to pick up a lot of extra data in their files. So you don't really want that extra stuff, as it weighs down your audio quality, weighs down the amount of megabytes that your files will take up, and overall it doesn't create the most clean experience. Another important thing beyond microphone is the audio software. It's not as important. Simply using programs like Audacity or GarageBand. I recommend Audacity over GarageBand because you can control your output settings a little bit more there, but it is worth it to spend your money on a good audio editing software, as the software can make all the difference if you are put into a situation where you have to use the XLR instead of an XLR, a USB. I couldn't remember the name there. USB microphone. Another important part with voice acting is being able to do a variety of different voices and sounds. Like, for me, I mostly get cast for either my regular voice or my grandmother voice. Because I can play a fairly convincing grandmother, even though I'm only 21. Yeah, I've also voiced Granny Smith a lot of times. Just add in the
Gotta add in the country accent, and then you're all good to go.
So having variety definitely always helps. And another important part when it comes to variety is, like, obviously those two voices are in my most comfortable range, which is about in the back of my throat, versus there are other voices like this one where I'm talking with more an airy tone and I'm talking up in my nose, and I just sound melodic and floaty and airy versus, scratchy back of throat voice. That's also like if you wanted to do an impression of Fluttershy, you would do it
up in the softer register, and you would just kind of make yourself seem more shy and a bit more aloof.
You got to know how to work your vocal cords properly, is basically what I'm saying. Gotta love the voice variety.
Yay.
Another important thing to remember when it comes to voice acting is to never try for a role that is straining on your voice. Like, I would never go out for a role where I need to do a lot of talking in like a deep, gravelly voice because that's not where my voice is comfortable. If I had to do a few lines, like no more than 3, I would probably suck it up, but it is never recommended to do something that makes your voice hurt because it's not worth it in the long run and you could end up doing some serious damage. Okay, let's see what's next on my talking points. Know how to read. This is the one that I struggle with a lot. I'm dyslexic. I cannot read for the life of me. So it makes life quite interesting. I tend to flub up my words sometimes. So make sure you know how to read, or at least don't have dyslexia. The worst part about it, that is much, yes, I can do the readering much good. I didn't see the problem with that sentence at the first there. Yes, but reading, very important. And reading speed is also very important because oftentimes you won't have the chance to help yourself remember an entire script. So you have to be able to read at a decent pace or be like me and do 1.5 million retakes and hope. Let's see. As for accents, let's go into accents. I love accents. I honestly recommend watching YouTube videos on how to do proper accents because some of them you can just eyeball, like, I can do the American accent just fine because, the American twang accent is fairly simple, just an easygoing, easy to understand, and often heard in media. So you can just keep going with that one pretty easy. But things like the British accent are a lot harder to mimic just off the top of your head. Like, I'm terrible at a British accent, but I've been working on it. Yeah, because British, there are a lot of different types of British. There is the posh British. There's like I can't even do it. I just switched into default country accent there. There are just so many different types of British accents. So British. Oh gosh. But yeah, there are just so many different varieties on the English accent and even the French accent because I am a French Canadian. I speak French as a second language. So I can do the accent quite convincingly, but it sounds Canadian French. It does not sound like Parisian French. Like, oh, bonjour. I am, my name is Kenzie Mayne. I, croissant. I can speak in the French accent. Kind of sounds a bit Russian. The Canadian French accent is bonjour. Croissant. Yeah, but there are just so many varieties. It is crazy. Yes, but accents are very difficult, and if you want to do an accent, you need to study up on it. You can't just do it on a whim most times unless you've like either grown up around that accent or heard it a lot, and even then it won't be quite accurate. As an interesting factoid here, the current American accent is the original British accent. British people decided, specifically British royalty and the upper class, decided they wanted to sound more posh. So they created this accent, and then the rest of their people just decided, hey, I like that. I'm going to do that too. And now we have current British. British. But yes, accents. Study them if you're going to do them. Another important thing with voice acting is looking after your voice. Like, me specifically, I do have to watch out with my voice because if you noticed, I have a more raspy voice than the average person because I'm always doing a certain level of vocal frying, which is what causes my voice to sound this way. So, for people who talk with a vocal fry, or just in general, if you're talking a lot, you want to make sure that you're looking really well after your voice. You don't want to just go like, "Oh, hi, I can talk," and then keep talking, and it does not go well. So you gotta look after your voice. You gotta make sure that you are properly dealing with how your voice should be working. So, drink lots of water. Do not drink coffee beforehand. That is a not good idea. Um, Another good recommendation that I have would be if you experience like a lot of a lot of oh my words are hard, guys. If you experience like a lot of mouth sounds like when you're recording, um you want to have something that'll negate that. So green apple is a really good solution to a lot of mouth sounds. Because nobody wants to hear somebody just lip smacking in their ear. Yes, and like specifically on the subject of coffee, um, you don't want to overdo it with coffee. If you have like a cup or so, that's not the end of the world, but I definitely would not recommend making it. Do not have coffee within an hour of recording anything because it just won't go well. Can guarantee that. I have tried. As I sneeze. Allergies. Don't have allergies. It's a big help not having allergies. Um, yeah. Thank you. um, but do not drink milk. This is where I go wrong. I love chocolate milk. I have an addiction. It's fine. Um, but if you have milk, it kind of clogs up the back of your throat. And for me, I can get away with it because like I do have that vocal fry thing, and the milk actually helps me get rid of that if I don't want it. But yeah, you drink milk, guys. Drink milk if you have vocal fry. If not, don't. Bad. Thank you for the chocolate milks in the chat. Um, yeah, but you always gotta look after your voice. It is your selling point, therefore you gotta look after it. You've never tasted chocolate milk. Sorry, that is crazy to me. Me getting distracted. But I am in shock. Okay, if you new vocal tip, go drink chocolate milk. That's my new vocal tip of the day. Uh yeah, you gotta have chocolate milk, my guys. It's an important part of your daily stuff. Look at me, knowing how words work. Again. All right, so the next thing. I mean, regular milk's good too. I can give you that. The next voice acting tip is you're gonna send a lot of emails. A lot of emails. 90% of my day is sending out emails. The other 10% is recording auditions. And then if I have something else to do in terms of recording, like recording for another project, you know, I replace doing auditions with that because emailing is so important. Because there will be people who just approach you and ask for you to lend your hand to things once you get more known. But for the most part, even the bigger voice actors, they got to email, they got to network. Um, if Kenzie comes to Bab, we need to get them chocolate milk. Yes, that is important. Um, just want to ask, what do you mean for feel if you do VA role for 4 kids? I am confused. That might just be my inability to read coming through, guys. Still don't know how to. Yes, hi. We should have a chocolate milk fountain at BabsCon. Just saying. Nathan, make it happen. Um, so I can't actually speak to how bad 4 Kids is for anime dubs because I grew up watching 4 Kids, so I can't I can't complain. 2%, not whole. 2%. Gotta get the good stuff. 2% is the best. But like I have experienced like some bad dubs and or just there are occasionally you'll get cast in a project that you think is really, really good and you think will be like your next big thing, but then you'll look at the script and a lot of things will be misspelled and terrible grammar. Like there was one line in something that I did. It never came out, so I'm allowed to talk about it. And the line was pretty much like, "Where are you going?" Oh no, that's unfortunate. Literally all one line. And I'm like, that makes zero sense. I might be dyslexic, but if I take my time and read, that it makes no sense. So, yeah, you got to be careful with the projects you're auditioning for. Just because they have a large audience doesn't mean that it's going to be good quality and something that you're going to look back fondly on. Because, frankly, sometimes it's not good. I think the worst example of a terrible script I had was there was this one script where the line was, "Why, thank you. I am doing great." And that's how they wanted me to say it. I'm not, but like, "Why, thank you. I am doing great. How are you today? I hope that you're doing well. It would be unfortunate if you weren't doing well." And like, that is a run-on sentence. Run-on sentences are terrible for breathing. And that's a good segue into the next topic. Breathing. You gotta be good at breathing. I am once again not. I have had to read entire paragraphs without a single period in them before because mistakes have been made. And basically, this isn't the paragraph because I genuinely don't remember this one, but basically the way it went was, hello, today my name is Mackenzie. I like to run on tricycles and ride bikes, and I like to fall up the stairs. No, not down the stairs. I like to fall up the stairs because stairs are fun to fall up, but not down. Never down the stairs. Down the stairs hurts, but you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. And like that's a lot of air. Yeah, breathing is difficult. Breathing is not as fun as you would hope. Um, yes, fall up the stairs. I never fall downstairs. I fall upstairs. But yeah, so breath support is very important. You got to fall up the stairs to get downstairs, guys. Gravity is optional. But there will be times where you're auditioning for something and they will say like, "Oh, I want a voice sort of like this one or that one," and then they'll link to some really famous role. Like one of the big ones that I see a lot is people wanting to get like the Toru Honda sound from Fruits Basket. So they'll be like wanting a voice like Toru Honda and then they'll link it. And I'm like, usually that's actually a pretty good tell instead of just, oh, hi. Here are an example of a good audition would be saying medium voice type, which usually means like the center range alto sort of deal. Medium range, raspy, feminine, like just good descriptor words versus I want it to sound like this person. And like it's it can be annoying, but to a degree you do have to learn how to do impressions cuz sometimes a really good project will be like you need to sound like this person and you'll be like but that's not me, but at the same time this is a good opportunity and also money. Money. Um yeah, there are just a lot of things. And yeah, bad descriptions are usually a good tell whether or not you should be auditioning for this project. Oh, got a question in the chat. Do you study the characters you're voicing? Usually yes. Um, there's very few times where I won't, and usually I won't study the character if the person approaches me to voice the character and says, "You know what? I've heard you. I've seen your personality online. I just want you to be yourself wholeheartedly behind the role, say things as you would say them." And in those cases I don't, but it's it is a very good idea to get used to the role that you're voicing. There was one character I voiced named Nora, and Nora was like basically the background of Nora was she kind of had like a Russian type accent. She talked like this all the time, and she was basically an orphan, and she ended up working as a park ranger, and she was very no nonsense, but in order to actually say things the way that she would, I had to study up on her role just because I'm not an orphan. I never lived on the streets, so I like to do some studying on that. Another question in the chat. What type of characters are your favorite to voice act? This is a weird one. My favorite to voice act probably has to be like telephone operator sort of deal. Like in my demo reel, we made a point to include this because it is one of my strengths where it was basically this role of a girl was talking over a radio and she was trying to give somebody instructions and basically it was like, okay, the next thing you gotta do is you gotta turn off that switch. Don't worry, it won't kill you or anything. Like the comical radio and or phone operator is my favorite. How many voices can you do? Um, not many, cause I am a very stuck in my ways individual. I am probably about 5. Um,
Because, of course, there's my little soft voice and my gentle, warm embrace.
and then there's my more motherly tone of like, "Oh, sweetie, you don't need to eat that bug. No, no, no." And then there's, my regular voice.
And then there's my old lady voice. Gotta get up in the old lady town.
Um,
Then, of course, you can do like the rarity type voices as well. They're not my favorite to do by far, just because I am not a very articulate individual.
but yeah, about 5, 6 approximately. Um, Question if you want to answer: how to actually start in voice acting? Auditions. Constantly audition for anything and everything. Some good free to use sites are Casting Call Club. I regularly frequent there. And even to start off, you're gonna have to do some projects that you're not gonna be overly fond of or don't think are gonna get very far. But just to kind of get your name out there and to get used to the auditioning process. But yeah, Casting Call Club is a good free one. Another one that is not free, it's very expensive, and I personally don't like this website, but I know a lot of my voice acting contacts do, is voices.com. Um, but just be aware with websites like voices.com, they do take a cut of your pay and they ask for $500 a year, which is a lot. And if you're like me and you're Canadian, it's more like $700 a year. So I definitely, to start off, Casting Call Club, another good thing is there is a voice acting board called, let me just pull it up because I don't actually remember. Voiceacting.boards.net is a really good one. They have both paid and unpaid casting calls up there, and they're pretty well vetted. So yeah, just audition. What vocal exercises should those looking to be VA try and practice and develop? Honestly, singing vocal exercises are fairly good. Um, just like honestly, just talking and reading monologues and things like that are really good for your voice because it helps you develop confidence, develop strength, prepares you for those long paragraphs that you'll eventually encounter. And you just want to you really want to make sure that you are using your vocal cords as much as you can while also remembering to drink water and keep it all well put. Words. Um, which MLP character do you do the best? Probably Rarity. Uh, yeah. I usually voice Rarity or Sunset and things. Actually, it's usually Sunset, it seems lately. You can check out my work as Sunset in Magpie Pony's Discord Tales 2. Um, Among all the voice acting in MLP, whose acting was most impressive for you personally? I'd have to say my top one would probably be Kelly Sheridan. Just because I've been listening to her voice in things since I was like a kid, so I am inevitably default to Kelly Sheridan. Who is best pony? Oh, that's a good question. And why is it Rainbow Dash? Um, Honestly, Sunset Shimmer, hands down. Do you believe in magic in a young girl's heart? Yes. Confidence. What is that and where can I find it? You can buy that at your local Walmart, and or Walgreens for $29.99. Yeah, Kelly does Starlight Glimmer. But yeah, no, I do voice Sunset a lot. I have more than I can actually remember at any given time in terms of Sunset lines. Um I do also voice an original character in a couple of MLP audio dramas. Um yeah, like I do a lot of things everywhere. The comments section is blowing up on YouTube or the show. Hi, comment section. We love a active comment section. What first got you interested in voice acting and how long have you been voicing? So this is a weird one as well. So I did get my start in voice acting in the I do not voice Sunset in the show. I voice her on YouTube mostly. Yeah. But I got started doing voice acting probably in 2018 and I started off voicing in MLP little fan projects. I started off actually voicing Luna. Um I can do rarities. That's kind of why. Um so yeah, I've been voicing for about 4 years and I started in the MLP fandom. Yes, I will now be replacing Rebecca, whose name I cannot say. I will be replacing her. Another question, did you self-teach yourself in learning how to do different voice acting, or did you have like a professional coach? Wow, words. Um, both. Um, I got help from some friends at first. Like I had lessons from Anna Chloe Marie, who voices either Celestia or no, she usually voices Celestia in everything. So she taught me a lot, and I also took some uh I also took some yeah, I took some private lessons, just usually one-off lessons just because they are expensive. Everyone else can hear fine? I just want to make sure here. Yeah, okay. I'm not sure what's happening. Okay. Um, sorry, squirrel moment. What was I saying? Um, YouTube. YouTube can be a good coach. I would sooner recommend paying for somebody or just finding like little one-off lessons like this at conventions. Just because the issue with YouTube coaching is it's very broad and there's not really any interaction that can be had, and at least in conventions you can have some form of interaction and ask questions if you have any, but it's still better to get a one-on-one coach. I was fortunate to know Anna. I got coaching for like $5. But But yeah, if you can get personal lessons, great. If not, even just you don't need to specifically get a voice acting coach. If you do local theater or any form of in-person like acting, you definitely can get a lot more out of it that way. Because at least there, you're not stuck. Yeah, that made sense. I'm gonna say that made sense, guys. Yeah. She didn't even want $5. I just gave her $5. But yeah, best case scenario, being able to pay for voice acting lessons. Worst case scenario, self-teach. Other best case scenario, do local theater. I did local theater for like 5 years. Um, and I did musical theater specifically because music. Um, yeah, so if you can get into theater, get a coach or self-teach or come to conventions and come to little meetings like this. Um, shameless self-plug here. I do teach vocal lessons for very cheap, so yeah. But yeah, best case scenario, pay for somebody to teach. I usually charge about $20 an hour, which is cheap compared to $100 an hour, which is what you'll get with a somebody who does it full time. Well, yeah, lesson one, drink chocolate milk, guys. It's important. You got to remember, rule one, chocolate milk. Yes. Um, Another good little note is yes, good. Chocolate milk social at the chocolate milk fountain. But I am easily distracted. Um, but like the best case scenario, I got distracted again. Don't don't apologize. This is my life. Does somebody remember what I was saying? Because I don't. This week on Easily Distracted, voice lesson costs $20 an hour. Regular people charge $109 an hour, but I am not a regular people. I am a Kenzie. Uh, See, the worst part of all is that that did actually kind of work again. But I was moving on to the next topic of singing. That's what it was. It was singing related. If you can sing and voice act, that'll actually open up a lot more opportunities to you. Because, like, personally, I about half of the roles that I end up auditioning for also have some sort of singing component, whether it's just like a sweet little lullaby or like a full-on musical sequence. It is a really good skill to have on the side if you can. It's not a big deal, but it gives you more opportunities. Okay. Kieran. Let's see. Vocal effects. If you're doing an audition and it wants a certain type of thing, like vocal effects, like to make you sound more like Queen Chrysalis did in season 3 with the whole like vocal layering, etc. Always include a unedited version of it, like without the effects, because they'll want to know what your voice actually sounds like beneath that. So always make sure if you're auditioning for something that calls for vocal effects like the Bill Cipher effect. It was season 2. Okay, I can't remember things. But always make sure to include both. And there are also some voice acting terms that you might want to know because you'll see them in auditions. So AA, BB, CC format, which means line 1, then you do line 1 again, then you do line 2, then you do line 2 again, and then you do line 3 and line 3 again. But there's also ABC format, which is just 1 2 3 1 2 3. They're fairly self-explanatory, but I had to have somebody explain it to me just because you never know. Yeah, there are a lot of terms. Normalizing, like, which basically just means to make all of your audio equal. Gotta make sure it's all, yeah, gotta make sure it's all level, especially if you're yelling. Like, try and normalize, equalize your audio, because nobody wants to hear you suddenly peaking, and peaking is a non-fixable editing issue too, so if you have to yell, turn down your microphone because they can't fix that in post. They can hide it a bit, but they cannot fix peaking. It is unfixable. Uh, yeah, yeah. Equalize yelling. Interesting. Yeah, like if you're yelling, it'll come through in the editing, even if all of the audio looks the same level. One, the audio editor will fix that. And two, it's very important to do so just because your volume can always be turned up, but your volume cannot be fixed if there is peaking. That is the rule of thumb. And if you peak, you gotta re-record because it just messes up everything. Yes. I'm sometimes impressed when VAs make very real life sound like drinking or gasping. Uh, a lot of time they will actually be drinking. Um, I can speak to this. I was in like a group record and somebody had to like make drinking sound effects and they literally just took a huge swing of water. Yeah. Bottles, anti-spill bottles are your best friends. As for gasping, it's usually just kind of a breathe until you have no air in your lungs and then just kind of fill them up rapidly. um no, it was not alcohol. Just water. Just water. I mean, no, I'm not gonna say that. But squirrel moment again. Yeah, like it's called empty your lungs and then fill them up. Thank you. I am so good at the words, guys. I am flawless. Confidence, guys, confidence. This is like the second time we've referenced flawless today. Um, yeah, a lot of VAs do just do their normal voice for every role, and that doesn't work for everyone because like most of the VAs who use their normal voice for every role have a very, very distinct sounding voice to begin with. So they can get away with it, but people with voices like mine, like for one, deeper voiced females usually aren't in extreme demand, but there are a lot of us, so there's high competition there. There's high competition everywhere, but a lot of the VAs with normal voices, like just use their normal voices, usually have a very, very distinct sound. Um, Another good thing to take note of is if you need to sneeze for a role, this has come up before. So what I do, and this doesn't work for everyone, is I just get some pepper and I take a big sniff of pepper and then I'm sneezing for like half an hour. Because I can't sneeze on command. That is not a thing. So pepper, if you need to sneeze, smell pepper. Just sniff. Um, if you can burp on command, that's very useful for roles that call for being drunk. For instance, I can burp on command. So. What is it like to sneeze in anger? Okay, that has only ever come up once, and let me just say, it felt so wrong. It just, it was not. I felt like my face was gonna fall out. No, I literally can just burp on command. It's weird. Um, yes, Magpie and Scribbler are very, very sweet and very talented people. Um, yeah, I'm so professional that I can control my burping. Um, so this is now derailed into me teaching everyone how to burp on command. Um, so what I do, um, is like I take in a huge breath and I wait till I feel it kind of clicking in the back of my throat, and then I just kind of push it out, and there you go, it's a burp. I don't know how else to describe it because this is something I've known how to do since I was a child. Um, the hardest feeling to just convey through voice alone. Silent rage. Like the kind of rage that isn't just screaming. Like um like the biggest thing with silent anger is getting that specific vocal nuance in. Like you want to sound angry, you want to sound mad, you want to yell, but you can't yell. You got to sound like you're kind of holding it back, and it's almost like you can barely open your teeth when you do it. At least I can't. And it's one that I struggle with. How do you make the burp deeper? Bigger breath. I'm apparently now gonna do it though. That was deeper. But also, you gotta remember that I am a female, and yeah, I know, guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I have such a skill. This is probably not what you expected when you joined this panel. I get derailed really easily. Today on Lunar Deck Burp 101. Yeah. Yeah. Here's one more burp for you guys. Yep, you're welcome. Yeah, change the name. No. I can't do that, so I mean so for a crying scene, I usually this one's very touch and go. Usually what I do is I read the entire scene first, and then I go through and I try and just feel the emotions that they're feeling, and I try and work myself up, and I just like if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I get myself really worked up, and like then I kind of start sounding like I'm gonna cry. But yeah, usually it does at least it feels the same as fake crying. Like, sorry, that's not what I meant to say. It feels the same as real crying, even if you don't have the tears, as long as you can work yourself up. And like what I do is like a making bread motion. Like if you got bread cupped in your hands, you just gotta fluff it. Yeah, basically, if you want to cry, make bread. True, Jay, true. But yeah, no, crying is fairly easy. If anyone has any more questions, I will now answer them as it is 1:51 and I can answer. Could you do your Sunset Shimmer voice right now? Sure, give me a Sunset Shimmer line though, because I can't remember any off the top of my head. Because my memory is that of of second grader. No, second graders have better memories, honestly. Sympathy criers, yeah. I've changed. I'm in a much better place now. You're stupid. This has been Kenzie does Sunset Shimmer. Twilight Sparkle. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Turning into Elvis now. Yeah, but voice acting. Do it. I'm Soup. I'm at the soup store. Any more questions, my people? Okay. Um well, character that I would want to be a VA for. That one's a really hard one because I would never want to replace an already existing VA. Um, Gosh, that's hard. Yeah, I don't really know. That's a hard one. Yeah, that's a hard one. I really don't know. Um, do you have any kind of specific voice you wish you could make? All of them. Uh, yeah, if I had to pick a character to voice, um, that doesn't have an English voice actor, I'd probably pick Nadeshko from what's it called? Oh my jeepers. Um, Shugochara. Nadeshko from Shugochara because I love Nadeshko and Nadeshko is technically non-binary, so I stand. No problem. Do you think anyone could do voice with enough training? And if not, how does one draw the line between possible if I train and impossible? It is my personal belief that almost anyone can do voice with enough training, but there are times like if you really just cannot get into a role, if you just if you hate it, you can't do it. That's kind of if you hate something, you can't do it, and that's where you should draw the line. But I truly believe almost anyone can do it. Hardest accent to do slash favorite to do. Hardest accent, British. Favorite, Russian. um, how long did it take you to really learn voice acting? I am still learning how to voice act. Just because I land jobs doesn't mean I'm done learning. You're never done learning. It is a lifetime of learning. Yeah, like just because you think you know something doesn't mean you do. There's always more to learn. Literally all British accents. They're my worst. I can't. The more you know. Yeah, a fake British accent is very not well received in most cases. You got to be you have to actually be British for people to enjoy it for the most part. Because a lot of British people can. Yeah. Scottish accents. Thoughts on faking it? See, Scottish is kind of difficult to me because it's like, crikey, I'm an alligator, but also they're stealing my lucky charms at the same time. It's difficult and most people cannot fake it. Um, yes, but I'm glad that you all feel like you learned something, especially burping and chocolate milk. Yeah. But we are just nearing our time limit here, so thank you. Thank you very much. But yeah, we're in our last minute now, so I just wanted to thank you all for coming and yeah, we are good to end. So, yeah, thank you all for coming.